Hey, what's going on, guys? Sketcher, welcome back to another episode. And today I'm going to be going over two tier lists that I made on week one of Ninjala. Now, this could be wrong, but then again, keep in mind that I've been thinking about stuff like this and already having this stuff in my mind for a while now. And I've been thinking about this essentially since the second beta, and I've also been testing it throughout this entire week and figuring out what goes where. But then again, I still could be wrong. So the first tier list we're going over is the iPod Master tier list. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start at the bottom. We're gonna start at the bottom and go our way up. So the worst weapon for getting iPods is the drum beat. Now, why is this the case? Well, the drum beat has no real way of getting an iPod unless they get a parry. They can do. Use a gumshoe, but that also takes a lot of time to load up if you're trying to get two. And by that point, your enemy could have either ran away or they could have engaged with you, which the drum beat isn't necessarily good with because it has the slowest attacks in the game and no armor. It can't really get iPods easily with the super because it doesn't kill in one hit, although it does track and almost guaranteed can hit you unless you are the scroll or basically any other katanas. If you're any other katanas, then you don't have to worry about this. Or also if you're one of the yo-yos. The Shinobi Spinner and the Ninja Yo-Yo also don't really have to deal with this if they have it set up. But having that set up is kind of a niche situation. But it still works. It still works. Its Y ability is really slow and can get cancelled, meaning that it's almost never going to come out unless you're with someone else. But having to rely on someone else is almost always the signs of a character not being very good, or an item or a weapon in this case not being very good. Now, its two abilities, which is normal and wide attacks, reset special cooldown, which is good, but it isn't good because you're almost never going to land that special attack. And up tempo is moves faster when life is reduced, which is good for having reduced life, but you're not really going to be running because you have the slow speed in the game anyway. Now, the next weapon for not being very good at getting iPods is the Ninja Yo-Yo. Now, unlike the drum beat, this weapon can actually has one way to almost get a guaranteed iPod every single time, and that way is its super. The super is the beam. This beam is actually pretty good if they don't see you and you're like a good bit away. You can actually just engage with them, and they have to run away essentially, and it's kind of easy to run away with the closer they are to you, and you're also in more danger because they can just attack you because it doesn't have any armor or any invincibility yet. Its gumshoot is pretty good. It is a delayed gumshoot, meaning you can rush in with it and it can mess up parries or make parries better for you. And it has the warp ability. Now, this warp ability is good in some situations, but they're also pretty niche and don't have a lot of use for how fast-paced the games are going now. It seems like these days a lot more things are happening a lot quicker, and setting something up like the warp seems like it takes way more time to actually get real use out of. And since it has a warp yo-yo ability. I mean, it has Star Trail, which is warp attacks replenish your gumshoot cooldown time, and Inside Loop, which is KOs a foe with a warp attack to recover life. Which that's good, but again, it sounds kind of niche. The next weapon, which is the Shinobi Spinner, is another warp yo-yo. It really just doesn't have anything except for warp, which warp is pretty good, I guess, for those new situations, like I said, but it's not really, like, great. And since it has a similar moveset, the Ninja Yo-Yo and the Shinobi Spinner, since they have a similar moveset, they essentially do the same things. The one thing that puts the Shinobi Spinner above the Ninja Yo-Yo, though, is that fact that it has a super that you can combo into. that is super, super, super important because that means you can get icons off of any random hit essentially. Um, it makes life a lot easier for you if you don't want to force a parry, which that is not really. You essentially want to avoid parries at all costs, if you can, because it's not guaranteed, and it's not like it's essentially you're guessing. You're just it's a shot in the dark, and if you guess right, you get rewarded, and if you guess wrong, then you don't. The next weapon is the donut yo-yo. I don't really know how to pronounce this, but it's the donut yo-yo. Now, this is probably one of the better yo-yos. It's definitely the second best yo-yo in the game because it's the only other. It's the only other yo-yo that has a one-shot super, meaning that at any point you can just go up to someone, and also you can hit confirm this. You can hit confirm and immediately kill someone at nothing %. Not to mention these next two yo-yos are better because they have their special makes it to where they cannot attack. Once they are in this mode, the ice cream mode, they cannot attack you, and it's really good because it is forcing your enemy to have to run away. Now, this also has the ability to echolocate. It has this echolocation, which is pretty good, but it isn't super good. It's better than the other two, but it's all right. Everything that this weapon has so far is all right, except for it just being the yo-yo. I feel like the abilities that they gave the yo-yo are pretty niche, and right now it just doesn't have that much use. The next weapon on here is the trick ball, which I think is the best yo-yo in the game, as far as getting icons. That is, this has one of the best supers in the game, especially at third partying, which is the rocket. It has a large radius, kills you at full HP, and you can completely run away afterwards, and it blows everyone away, even your teammates. It blows everyone away. Even if they don't die to it, they're blown so far back that they have to reset to neutral, which the trick ball, I do have to admit, does have a pretty good neutral because of the stuff that it has. Again, it also has the ice cream mode where you can just make your enemy have to play defense, and they can't do anything about it. Now, for the next hammer, the iron noise. Now, the iron noise is pretty good, and the only reason I'm putting it this far above the other weapons is because it also has the one-shot super. It also has the shuriken, gumshoe, and it has the stun. Now, both of the stun hammers in this game aren't particularly fantastic, but since they are hammers and can kill you off of 2 hits, it's pretty good for that. Also, the iron noise and the drum beat both can hit you one time and almost always confirm into a hit if you're close enough. But getting those situations is pretty hard because of how slow the weapon is. But also having the super is what really puts it this high up. This super alone, if it was on a better weapon, which it is, makes it really, really good. Well, is it? No. This is the only two, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is the rocket is only on these two weapons, but it's super good. And there are other one-shot supers that do go onto other things. Or on better weapons. Now, for the next weapon, this is the upper half of the tier list. All these weapons in going forward from here are considered good to me. Well, honestly, I think B and up is considered good, but if you're really picky for weapons that are like good, these are the weapons you want to pick. The corn bat. Now, the corn bat, it has a really good dash. The dash is really good because, number one, you're invincible. Number two, you can attack out of it. And you can move around. You have a lot of mobility. You can attack out of it, and you're fully invincible. It's really good for opening up fights. It has multiple ways to open up fights, the cornbat and the drill do. The cornbat can approach with the drill move or like the dig. It has a really good. It has probably what I personally think is the best gum shoot in the game because of how strong the tracking is. And we'll get into why having a gum shoot that's like that is so important later. It also has a decent super in the fact that you cannot run away from the corn bat super. It just once it's sent out, you're essentially going to get hit, unless you are, the weapons I mentioned earlier. This weapon's also pretty good because of how quick it is. The moves that come out of this weapon are very quick, a lot like the drill, which we'll get into that later. But yeah, this weapon overall very good, very very solid pick for a weapon. Now the next weapon is the weapon that I've spent the most time with, and I'm pretty confident in where it is the scroll blade. Now the scroll blade, it has probably guaranteed the best movement in the game, but this is what this tier list is about. For getting icons, it has the beam super. Beam super is really good for third partying because it can just snipe people, and they can't do anything about it if they're close. But what puts this weapon over the Ninja Yo-Yo is that this weapon has really good movement and can run away from you very quickly. If you give the scroll blade or the Ippon Katana any breathing room at all, they can immediately be out of there. If they have any bar at all, they can just be out of there immediately. They have the best dash in the game, they have the best movement in the game, meaning that they can just run away from you and just not have to deal with it at all. But that also means that they can rush in really well. And from it being, a katana, they do have good speed and good movement. They also have the shuriken, or not shuriken, but the kunai. The kunai gumshoot, which is really good because the tracking is decent, and it also is a delayed gumshoot, meaning that you can rush in with it and it can mess up. If you rush in and you lose that situation, like you get your guard broken or something, or you get you lose a parry, it will actually come in and save you. In which at that point you can just run away and reset to neutral. Now for the next weapon. The next weapon is the Ippon Katana. I think after this point, the weapons start getting good. At this point, where the Ippon Katana is, now I'd actually put this in S, but the weapons in S actually have something that the Ippon Katana doesn't really have. Now, the Ippon Katana, it has multiple ways to confirm into death, or into an Ippon. Since it has the best gumshoot in the game, because it can... Okay, so shooting this gumshoot, it is an instant gumshoot, and it starts going in, like, frame 1. It's already going towards you. There's no delay, there's no anything. What that means is, you can rush in with it, and it actually makes your opponent pick an option before you rush in. Meaning, if you hit them, and they already want to try to parry, like right now, week 1, a lot of people want to try to immediately parry moves and just get into those parry situations to where they can try to, get out of disadvantage and probably take the kill. But with the Ippon Katana and this gumshoot specifically, if you shoot the gumshoot and then rush in, it forces them to parry, in which you can use your guard break, and that breaks their weapon, and then you can get a full combo into death. But if you didn't want to go that route and they didn't pick that option, you can do a gumshoot into attack, into another gumshoot. If they decide to, do a late parry or something like that, you can do another gumshoot, which they can't parry a gumshoot. Then you get the late gumshoot, and since they parried, it literally takes all of their bar, and then you can start another combo. And since you hit them with 2 gumshoots, they're wrapped up in gum, and that confirms into an iPod. And that stuff is it's a really good mix for people that like to spam parry. Also, this also has a super in the game, the most versatile super in the game, where it's good for escaping with its frame 1 invincibility, it's good for approaching with the amount of movement it has, and it's good for combos. It does not kill you at 0% like the other supers do, but you can hit confirm it off of almost anything. You can hit him with a gumshoot into attack. You can hit him with a weapon break into a super. Anything. You can hit him with a normal attack, a side attack, a down attack, or a wide attack, a down attack, the gumshoot. If they're wrapped up in gum, a weapon break, your dash. All of it confirms into the super, and all of them can convert into a kill. which gives you an icon. If you have your super and you hit someone, that's almost always a guaranteed icon if you want to do it that way. Which makes this weapon really, really good. I use this weapon a lot in the beta, and I labbed this weapon for like 3 days straight. It's a good weapon. Now for the S tier weapons, these are the weapons that I think are overall the top tiers. Now, you may be wondering, why is it that there's two break hammers, and then in between those break hammers is a katana? Well, I'll explain that to you. First, we need to go over the sushi axe, though. The sushi axe has, again, the super that you can combo into. The tornado is like probably one of the better supers in the game, except for like the exclusive supers, like the which one is it? There's the drill super, and oh no, that one was something else. Anyway, the drill super, that one's probably the best super in the game, but this one is like a really close third or second to like the one-shot supers. So you can combo into supers, immediate icon. You can hit someone with your gumshoe. Again, you have slow mobility, but you know your gumshoe actually stays active for a long time. Now, this is why break hammers are the best weapon type in the game as far as getting icons. Its Y ability is a super armor weapon break no matter what you do. You have to avoid it. If you don't avoid it, and the hitbox is huge, if you don't avoid it, it's a guaranteed icon. And it charges quick. It charges so quick. It's a guaranteed icon if you get hit with this move. It has armor, you have to avoid it, and it's hard to avoid, but if you do avoid it, you know, you can reset the neutral, but in that point, you know, you're resetting the neutral back with a super armor hammer. Also, these weapons, after they get a kill, they have armor. So if you're going against a hammer that already has armor, the best bet, actually the only bet that you can do to not die is to run away from them. You cannot engage one of the break hammers if they have armor, because that means one of your attacks means absolutely nothing. They also have, like I said, the break move, which if you do attack, they can just kill you for attacking and get an icon off of it. And the sushi axe actually can, you know, once it hits you one time, then it can combo into super for like, you know, to flex on them or something like that, because once their weapon's broken, that's already an icon. But yeah, this also attacks way faster than the stun hammers. The stun hammers aren't that good for that, because they attack way, way, way slower than the sushi axes, or than the break hammers. Now, for the next weapon is the drill piece. Now, this weapon is equipped with the best super in the game, but I'm gonna go over that later. This weapon has the same gumshoe as the sushi hammer, but it, again, since this is a katana, it moves faster. It has the extra dash, which is the dig. And the dig, you're fully invincible, meaning if you try to engage upon the drill piece or the bat, they can just become invincible and you can't do anything about it. But also, the drill piece could just use its super, which gives it like the hyper beast. It's like a super huge sword that shoots projectiles. If you get hit with the projectiles, it wraps you in gum, gives you an icon, obviously. And if you get hit with the base of the sword, like if you actually get hit with the blade itself, it does 60% of your HP, and it wraps you up in gum. You essentially die, guaranteed, for getting hit with this. Not to mention, this super lasts really, really, really long. It's the longest lasting super in the game, and you can essentially wipe entire teams with the super alone if they try to engage you, because you're not really going to be losing fights with this super at all. It's like obviously the best super in the game. The only thing that this weapon doesn't have is like, oh, I hit you with this move that charges in like 10 seconds, or I broke your weapon or mixed you up with a weapon break, which it can do, but it's not as dangerous as a hammer or one of the break hammers. It has a good gum shoot and stuff like that, but it also doesn't get armor, which doesn't make it as good as the skate hammer, but it's pretty good because the super alone puts it, like, would at least put it in A tier. If this weapon was literally just a super that you get, it's still more viable than the weapons at the very bottom of the list. If you literally spawned into the game with nothing but your bare hands and you couldn't fight until you got this super, it would still be one of the better weapons in the game, because the super is just that good. Now, for the best iPod Master weapon in the game, the Skate Hammer. Now, you may be wondering, why is this weapon above the Sushi Axe, and why is it above the Drill Beast? If it's just the same as the Sushi Axe as far as like, you know, its abilities and the weapon break seem pretty important. Well, because this is the only top tier weapon in the game that has a one-shot super. Actually, out of all the weapons up here, like in the like upper tiers, this is the only one that's a one-shot super. There are only like what 3 or 4 one-shot supers in the game. They gave one to a Break Hammer. So even in close range, if you try to do anything, if you do anything at all, you can just get iPod immediately. As soon as I click the X button, you get iPod immediately, and there's nothing you can do about it, no matter how much HP you have. That's an immediate iPod. And if you're scared of that happening, then they can just run up and attack you. And then once you get attacked, well, looks like I have to 50-50 whether they're gonna guard break or they're gonna, if they're gonna either guard break or weapon break me, which is like the full break is broken. The special break that they have is so broken. It's undodgeable. If you try to like run away, they can dash forward and then just hit you with like a normal attack anyway, and that's another 50-50 where you have to guess if they're gonna either hit you with a gumshoot or a weapon break, or if they're just gonna attack like normally. And they even, like, again, if they have armor, if they've already killed someone and they're running towards you, they can just kill you off of one interaction. It takes one interaction with this weapon to just lose your whole life. And like, what's the worst that can happen? You hit the hammer, and he still has what 30 more HP than the next weapon down the line. Like, you have more. If you're using one of the break hammers, you already have like 30 more hits or 30 more hit points than anyone else. So taking an extra hit doesn't even mean anything. On top of that, you have armor, which takes a hit anyway. Like, this weapon is really good. It's really strong. This is definitely the best weapon for like 101s in the entire game. But this is not a definitive tier list, and here's why. Here's why this is not a definitive tier list. And going to the next list is the drone killer tier list. We're still going to be going from bottom to top. And as you can see, this tier list looks a little bit different. And here's why. Here's why this tier list looks a lot different. Now, as you can see, this looks a lot more. It looks a lot more weapon based. There's the stun hammers at the bottom, and there's also the break hammers at the bottom. Previously known as top tiers. And then there's all the yo-yos in B tier, and then there's the stealth hammer or the stealth katanas, and then the dash katanas. I wonder why this is the case. Well, killing drones is a huge part of the game. It isn't as important as getting ipons, because ipons do give you more points, but getting 2 drone kills and 1 ipon, you're gonna be getting more points with the drone kills. Now, for the bottom of this tier list, once again, is the drum beat. The mobility is terrible. It doesn't have a super that's necessarily good at killing drones. The super doesn't one-shot drones as a projectile. It's not very good at that. The gumshoot, again, doesn't really do anything. Its Y ability doesn't do anything to the drones. It's overall just not very good at doing that. And the iron noise is the same way. Although it is better in the sense that the super does one-shot the drone, but the super is so slow, it's not really worth it to use your entire super on one drone, because, well, you're only getting one drone off of it. And if someone's on it, then you are getting an ipon and a drone kill, which is good, but it's not really as worth it as you think, because it takes so long to charge, and you should rather be doing this in a team fight, because other than that, this super doesn't really get that much use. Now, for the Sushi Axe. Well, the Sushi Axe, just like the other hammers, has worse mobility. The attack speed is also slower. It's way slower on the stun hammers. Like, it's like a whole second slower than the break hammers. But the break hammers still have a relatively slow attack speed. It takes 2 normal attacks, which is really slow because they have a lot of wind up to actually get the kill on the drone. It also doesn't have a super that really kills them that quickly. because, well, the super does one-shot drones, but it's not a projectile, so you have to run up on it with your slow movement speed anyway. Now, the skate hammer, although it's about the same as the sushi hammer, I think this one's about tied. But the skate hammer, it has a gumshoe. The gumshoe lasts longer, and it can stick near the drone. So if someone tries to engage, it won't work out well for them. So they can kill them. They can kill drones safely, but they still have a super that's not really worth it. Or I don't even think it's possible to use on drones. But same old. Doesn't have very much speed, and that's really the only real reason why it's that low. Now, after this is again where the weapons pick up immensely, and after this, the weapons are pretty good. Now, the donut, the yo-yo, it has again a decent super, but for drones, it's not really useful. But it is quick. That is a thing. It has way better movement speed than all the weapons below it. It has the echolocator, which the echolocator is good because if people are around you, then you'd be able to see them and start fighting after that. But as far as the yo-yos, there's not really that much to say. But yeah, this one is probably the worst one. It doesn't have very much. After this is the Shinobi Spinner. Now, why this is higher than the other two, or the other one, is it has the teleport. Now, the teleport is good. The warp is good. It also has a super that you can use against them. But again, it's not worth it. It has the sticky gumshoe, meaning you can, get them for free and it's safer. But, all in all, the real draw to this and not the donut is the warp. But, then again, the stuff that it has isn't really all that good. Now the next one is the trick ball. The trick ball also has, it has the super that's, the big explosion. If someone's next to it, then they get bopped. It's really hard to interact with a trick ball, especially if they're on it. If they're on a drone, you really can't bother them anyway because they can just super the ground and you just explode for it. But yeah, it's yo-yos. They do essentially the same thing as far as attacking. They don't have warp, which is fine, but their Y ability is pretty good because if you're next to him, he can just use the Y ability and then you can't interact with him anymore. Stuff like that is really good. Now, the Ninja Yo-Yo. This is also another skip in the tier list, which I probably could have put this one in A tier, but I honestly think the weapons above this are significantly better because of their movement. Now, the Ninja Yo-Yo. It has a warp, which is good, but really not practical if you're going from drone to drone. It also has one of the better supers, actually the best super in the game for getting drones, which is the beam. The beam. It can shoot through multiple drones at a time. There's actually a clip I have of the scroll hammer doing this, and you can kill drones pretty fast and get a lot of bar from it. It almost guarantees you drone killer if you get multiple of these in a row. Yeah, all in all, it's still the same thing. Where it's a yo-yo, and it has a good super which puts it above all the other yo-yos as far as killing drones. But it isn't really good as far as doing other stuff like defending itself and getting movement or having movement across the map. It isn't really all that good for that stuff. Now for the A and S tier, which this is a huge gap from B tier. It goes D tier and C tier are really close, and then it's a skip. Then it's half a B tier and the other half of B tier are also pretty close. And then there's a huge two tier or no, there's a tier skip, and then it's A and S because these are so good. Okay, so the drill. You're probably wondering why is the drill worse? Well, the super isn't nearly as good in this. Wrapping up a drone in gum doesn't work at all. So you're just gonna be hitting the drone and with this gum, and he's just gonna be it kind of squints his eyes, and it doesn't do any damage. Well, not a lot anyway. It's not really worth it, damage. The damage isn't worth it, definitely, for using your super. You can just attack it just the same and do just as well. It has decent, average movement as far as running on the ground. But what puts this above the other weapons is its Y. The stealth part of this weapon is it can go under the ground, uses dig, and it's faster. It's actually faster than just normally running or normally dashing. So the combo that you can do to move really really fast across the stage is you can do your gum dash into the dig, and you can move very very quickly with that. It's essentially the same thing with a combat where you use the dash and then you go on the ground, except for this one, why it's above the drill, is because it has a projectile super. Projectile supers are really important because that means you don't have to engage with the area itself, but you can still get damage on the drone, and you can actually dash in with the super, which I thought was really cool. If you use the super and you immediately use the gum dash into the dig, you can essentially approach with your super and destroy the drone immediately. Now, these next two weapons are top tiers. These are the best at killing drones in the entire game, and I've felt this way since the second beta. The iPod Katana, it has a super long range dash. The dash is extremely long range. You can literally use the gum dash into the Y dash, and it goes across the entirety of WNA Academy. It's very long range and very quick, and it also has a super that one-shots drones. It's good for killing the drones, but it's not really practical because you can only kill one drone with it. But the dash alone makes this weapon so much better because drone-to-drone kills are going to be so much quicker than every other weapon in the game. It completely dwarfs all of B tier, C tier, and D tier completely. Like, you're going to be killing like 4 drones in the time that they're killing 2. Like the difference is huge. But the scroll blade is quite honestly the craziest weapon at killing drones, and I'm gonna put up a clip of why. This clip is of me testing. It's me testing this with one of my friends, and he had the idea. To shoot through multiple drones at once, and it fills my bar completely. Now, it's good to mention that I already had 7 bars to begin with, but I killed 5 drones in that clip. I killed 5 drones, meaning it would give me 5 bars for that. It also gave me 1,500 points, meaning I'm almost guaranteed to have. At this point, I have more points than anyone by 1,500. By 5 drones worth, I have more points than everyone else. And not to mention, the drones are going to still be respawning. I can still use my dash, my gum dash, and still get to the next drone over immediately. Immediately, right after. It also can kill drones pretty fast, just like every other weapon except for the C and D tiers. It can kill drones fast. It can get from drone to drone fast, and it can shoot drones from across the map. Anywhere where a drone is on the map, if you have the awareness for it and you know where the drones are, or if you have one of the perks that lets you see through walls, you can literally beam drone through the wall, and you can literally kill a drone, gum dash, super dash, kill another drone, use your super, kill 3 more drones, even if they're not lined up, and then you just got 5 drones while everyone else is just getting done with their first or second drone. It's ridiculous. This weapon is honestly, it's the best at what they do by a long shot, and I think the scroll blade and the skate handles being, the 2 top of, what they do best is huge. They are, so above it that even if they gave a weapon, something that they have, let's say you gave the iPod Katana, well, since they're essentially the same, if you gave, any of the drill beasts or the combat, if you gave them that Y dash, it still wouldn't matter because of the super. The super is such a big deal with the majority of these picks. It changes the game completely. The reason the yo-yo is as high as it is, the Ninja yo-yo, the reason it's as high as it is because the super itself. It probably wouldn't even close to the best yo-yo at killing drones if the super wasn't what it was. And since they literally only gave 2 weapons this ability, it's almost perfect that they gave it to one of the best weapons at doing this anyway. It has the best super for killing drones and the best movement for killing drones. for killing drones, which is the Y ability, which is the dash. It's essentially the perfect combination for killing drones. And the same thing with the skate hammer. It's the best weapon for getting icons. It has two different ways to get icons guaranteed. Not to mention its ability, like behind the curtains ability, which it gets armor, meaning you can't fight him anyway. Like that stuff is huge. So this is my thoughts overall of of the weapons in Ninjala for the first week. My opinions could change, but so far I think the best weapon in the game is probably either the drill beast or the Ippon katana. They're just so good at what they do. It's like it works so well. To use either of those weapons, they're very decent and very good. These are also both they're both beta weapons, meaning the people who have been playing those since then will already be having a fun time comboing into supers, using your supers, the best way they can, finding your best movement, stuff like that. Now, the worst weapon in the game is guaranteed the drum beat. If you use the drum beat and you're doing well, that's good for you, but you are doing all of this using the worst weapon in the game. If there's something, if there's one thing that's, definitive, is that the drum beat is the worst weapon in the game. Now, I actually put a good bit of time into the drum beat because I thought it was fun, but it's unfortunately the worst weapon in the game by far, guaranteed, just because it has nothing good going for it. It can't get Ippons very well because the super doesn't one-shot. It doesn't have the Y ability doesn't do damage, it just stuns, which it confirms into a kill, but it doesn't confirm into an Ippon. It has low mobility, and none of the things that you have is really going to be killing Jones quick either. It's just not very good at what it does, and it doesn't really do anything, to be honest with you. But yeah, tell me what you think about this in the comments below. I'd like to hear what people think. I've had a few people disagree. It's mainly yo-yo players. I'm going to be completely honest. Yo-yo players swear up and down that the yo-yo class is broken top tier. And I'd like to know why. I honestly like to know why. All the stuff that I've heard is oh, it has the ability to, teleport, which is good, but it requires setup. And I don't know. I don't really think it's that good, but maybe you guys can tell me how it's that good. And with that being said, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace.